I ask that we go into prayer. I'll ask for a volunteer to pray for us. Let us pray. Father God, we thank you for this morning. Thank you for this gathering that is aimed at looking at the welfare of your child. Father Lord, we know that a lot of work has been put in this work, which is aimed at protecting the young girls out there. Father, give us wisdom, even as we gather in the name of the Lord Jesus. Amen. We may be seated. The guest of honor, the Minister of Finance and National Planning, Honorable Stombeko Mstoke, MP, representing the Speaker, Honorable Mulungo Tsengano, MP, Deputy Speaker, Secretary Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Cabinet Ministers that are present, the Chairperson of the House of Chiefs, Chief Chisunka, the representative of the Mayor of the City of Lusaka, the Chairperson of the Parliamentary Caucus on Children, Honorable Joseph Musanje, representing the United Nations Resident Representative, Penelope Campbell, who is a UNICEF rep, half of the UN coordinator, senior government officials that are present here this morning, distinguished invited guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning and welcome to a matter that should be of concern for us all. It is a matter that is looking at possibilities of bringing to an end child marriage. It is an occasion that brings together their Royal Highnesses and members of Parliament to discuss a very sensitive matter. A matter that has been going on for years, is still going on now, and must be meeting its end. For that reason, much as it is good to be here, it is also sad that we are here, primarily because many young women have had their future curtailed in terms of prosperity because they had to drop out of school to become young wives or girl wives. It's a matter that is passionate to me as your director of ceremonies, privileged to be here. And my name is Franklin Tambo Jr. from the Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation. My sign language interpreter is Chola Kauma. We're here because we are concerned, guests of honor, about what should be put in the open. And we're here because it is a matter that will be passionately spoken about in this particular occasion. And for that reason, I will ask, we take time to ask the person to us about how concerned are about child marriage. Just a moment to ask your neighbor, how concerned are you about child marriage? So it can be louder. How concerned are you about marriage? We don't need answers to that because it's pretty obvious that we are concerned. And I know that for local government minister, for example, it's a matter that is very, very close to his heart. Being, of course, lead as he welcomes their Royal Highnesses here in Lusaka. Without much ado, allow me to welcome to the podium for opening remarks the chairperson of the Parliamentary Caucus on Children. Been working hard. It's a very sensitive matter because it's just breaking certain norms to achieve matters of advancing the welfare of the girl child. Distinguished gentlemen, let's make welcome Honorable Mr. Joseph Musanje, MP.
So much, Master of Ceremonies. So hammer yourself. I don't know how we hammer when we are ending child marriage. His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, represented by Honorable Sokotwani, MP, Minister of Finance. Our Honorable Ms. Marungo H. Sangano, MP, First Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly. Honorable Gary Kombo, MP and Minister of Local Government and Rural Development. Honorable Cabinet Ministers and Provincial Ministers present. The Chairperson of the House of Chiefs, His Royal Highness Chief Chisunka. The Royal Highnesses present. Honorable members of the Parliamentary Caucus on Children, the Executive, and the rest of the membership. Representatives of the Mayor of the great city of Lusaka, the Ms. Penelope Campbell, UNICEF country representative, Mr. Ngolove, African National Assembly of Zambia, the clerk of the House of Chiefs, senior government officials present, members of the press, invited guests, may I simply say, ladies and gentlemen. It is a special privilege and honor to welcome on behalf of the Parliamentary Caucus on Children, and indeed on my own behalf, the first of its kind of dialogue on ending child marriage between the Caucus on Children and the House of Chiefs. At first, I state that we are very happy that His Excellency, as the delegate, Honorable Msokotwani, the Minister of our budget holder, so to speak, in the country, to be amongst us this morning. It's very, very important first of its kind function. We are very delighted and encouraged as a caucus that we are having this opportunity to host all of you this morning. May I also take this opportunity to commend the President for having accepted to be part and parcel of this caucus dialogue with the House of Chiefs this morning. You may wish to know that the Parliamentary Caucus on Children, which I have the privilege of chairing, is a voluntary parliamentary grouping devoted to children's issues. It was established in 2008 as a voluntary group of members of parliament who are interested in advancing children's rights in the country. The Parliamentary Caucus on Children comprises members of parliament from all the political groupings at the National Assembly. And currently we have a membership of 75 members. It's one of the largest caucuses at the National Assembly. The main focus is to influence relevant national institutions operating in Zambia to place issues related to children, particularly orphans and vulnerable children, at the top of this political and government agenda. We advocate for and support main initiatives, including those contending with 8th National Development Plan. This also serves as a forum, strengthening the capacity of our MPs on child rights, both national and constituency level. Hon Minister, as you may be aware, the caucus collaborates with a number of partners, including your government. The holding of this dialogue meeting with the House of Chiefs is a testament of such collaboration. Allow me, therefore, at this juncture to unreservedly recommend our partners for the support rendered to the caucus and its cause, particularly the UN family and the Network on Child Rights in Zambia. Let's give them a clap to appreciate their support. Honorable Minister, with child marriages estimated at 29%, based on a survey of young women aged 20 to 24, as presented in the Zambia Demographics Health Survey of 2018, we are delighted and happy that His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, assented to the Child Code Act in 2022, making Zambia a nation to have domesticated the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Children, as well as the African Charter on the Rights of Children, and all other protocols related. Such, Zambia is now a shining example of progressive countries in as far as the assuring that the plight and welfare of children is saved or delivered. This has given us the necessary impetus to deliver on the issues that affect children, as this is a revolutionary law in our constituencies and indeed in the chiefdoms where the Royal Highnesses reside. Therefore, I also wish to commend His Excellency on his being the global ambassador on ending early child marriage in this continent. He has done a tremendous job in that area and many other areas, and he continues to be a pillar for us as a caucus. So on behalf of the caucus, we look forward to continued work with government to continue to deal with issues of children, improve the plight and welfare and the rights and attain the rights of children in our country. This end, therefore, the Parliamentary Caucus on Children, it will be a great honor if His Excellency could consider becoming the patron of the caucus. Honorable Minister, you may deliver that message to him. I wish him to be our patron so that we can continue to utilize his ambassadorial role around the continent on ending child marriages. With these remarks, I wish to thank you. You're most welcome. Thank you.
I'm sure we can give you more energy in appreciating the message that he has sent over a very strong and concerning matter. Again, you just have to open your eyes to appreciate what is going on, and especially when you travel into the deep areas of the various places of this country. The young girls meet, and of course, a few young men are husbands and wives, and then should be like that. But the more there is education and campaigns going around, it is hoped that there will be more realization. Like has been indicated and suggested by Honorable Monsanje, that will come out of this matter, which again we must appreciate is has long history. It's probably part of DNA in certain areas. So to wrestle that out and to start on another page that delays marriage for women or girls will be very interesting. To put everything into context, to make us appreciate the effects of child marriage, we have an opportunity to hear the narratives from two survivors of child marriage. They were in it and managed to come out of it. I will not spoil their story because they're here to tell it themselves. Please, please listen to their story and you'll be able to relate. It's not easy to come out in front to talk about these matters. More often than not, you want to be private about these matters. And especially it's going out live on television. We're live on Parliament TV, Parliament Radio, and the National Assembly of Zambia Facebook page. So everybody will know. So for these two ladies to come in front takes a lot of courage, and I know that they've been encouraged a whole lot. So a lot of welcome to to this podium for narrative from a survivor, Chipasha Iliamupu, who has a story to tell. Chipasha, please come.
Riding on the protocols already observed, I was married off at the age of 15 by my father. My name is Iliamupu Chipasha. It happened when we were living in Kalumange Resettlement Scheme, a place in Kaoma district, which is about 88 kilometers away from Kaoma. At that time, my father was experiencing financial crunches, and so he decided and thought marrying me off would ease his financial burden. At age 14, I was initiated traditionally. I was pronounced a woman and a person that could be a mother because I was introduced into adulthood. And so it looked and felt normal. After it, that my father suggested I get married to a man that was 20 years my senior. After he pocketed a bride price of 300 kwacha from a man that was already working and a man that already had 3 children from 3 different women. I became an instant stepmother to 3 children, of whom the first one was just 2 years younger than me. The man subjected me to a number of abuses, all the 4 forms of abuses, ranging from sexual, which I encountered on the first day of our union, physical, psychological, and socio-economic abuses. I was silent about the whole thing because during my initiation ceremony, it was emphasized that secrecy must always and shall forever run at the behind of my head. I was told never to disclose anything that I encountered in my matrimonial home because I was an adult that was able to handle every situation on my own without even telling the person that initiated me. I thought twice and knew I was suffering because I did not have an education. That is why I told myself to say, I'll have to re-enter school if I'm to leave this problem completely. And so, because his money was his money, I decided to sell drinking water to school going children. I poached water in plastics that I froze. I sold the water to school going children. That is how I raised money to pay for my examination fees for grade 9 in the year 2009. At the end of grade 9, I made it to Kaoma Secondary School, where upon arrival in grade 10, I found that YWCA had a safe space for girls there, which was funded by UNFPA. I joined the safe space, which empowered me with the knowledge. And then after getting the knowledge, I became assertive after learning about the dangers of being a child bride and an adolescent mother. By the way, I became a mother at the same age of 15, the same day of my marriage. During my stay in Kaoma at grade 10, I made a decision to leave the abusive marriage. I filed for divorce in the Naliele local court, and the court granted me divorce from the abusive union. I continued with my school. I became head girl of Kaoma Secondary School, which was a post that was given performance-based. At the end of it all, at my grade 12, I did very well. I got 10 points. And I was privileged to have been a beneficiary of 100% bursary school that saw me get to the University of Zambia, where I studied Bachelor of Arts with Education, Linguistics and African Language with English, a degree which I am a holder of right now. At present, I'm fending for myself through contractor job and piece of works. I have a call to action to make before this house. My call to action to the traditional leadership is that they or we together must delay initiation ceremonies and only encourage menstrual cycle teaching at puberty for each and every girl that hasn't yet gone through it, if we are to win the fight against child marriage. My call to action for the parliamentarians seated in here is that there is need to accelerate the implementation of Children's Code Act and for all stakeholders to join hands in order to end child marriage. Lastly, I'm a child in this house, your child, and so I beg to be allowed to behave like one. I cleaned my hands through the education. Now I have the credentials that are needed. And I thought it would be wise of get to share this with the guests of honor, who in turn get to share it with the president for a possible permanent job. so that as I get it, I'll still be able, a job that will allow me to continue advocating for the end of child marriage and other abuses that I encounter. May the rightful person help me pass my CV and credentials to the right. I thank you.
I will hand over your CV. A big hand, ladies and gentlemen. So that was Iliamupu Chipasha, a child marriage survivor, taking us into her journey, which I'm pretty sure not too many would like to, to experience, especially in these days of information and knowledge and being exposed. That's not the only story we have for you this morning. We have another story, and these are not just stories; these are experiences. So let me replace the word story with experience. We have another experience to share. These are real things. This is not a tale. And allow me to ask the next speaker to gather courage. Feel free. You are among people that want to hear from you. Please make welcome Grace Nachila, another child marriage survivor. A big hand once more to make it easy for her.
Invited guests of honor, sir, all protocols observed. Greetings to you all. My name is Grace Nachila. I'm a child marriage survivor and an advocate. And this is my story. Growing up, I was a lively, hopeful child with hope to probably become an accountant one day. At the age of 6, until I was 10 years old, I was sexually defiled by a close relative. A man who was supposed to protect me took away my innocence and my childhood. He defiled my mind. And later, when I was 7 years old, due to home challenges, let me say poverty, I decided to get married to a man who was 13 years older than me. The relationship was lovely. As months went by, my husband changed. He started abusing me physically, emotionally, and verbally. Getting pregnant from my husband at the age of 17 and having a sickly child, more reason why I couldn't leave the toxic environment. I was always told I'm a failure and I can't do anything. I can't be better in life. Years of lack of sleep, lack of food, were the effects of the codependency culture I was accustomed to in the marriage. There were nights I would drain myself in wondering why I got married at the age. Ladies and gentlemen, my story is not different from the girls in the rural areas. The back and forth in the marriage continued for 4 years. I endured physical abuse for 4 good years. And later, after 4 years, he trusted me and never allowed me to go back. Going back to the community and back home to my parents with a child was hard for me. I walked in shame and without hope. A few months later of being home, I met a YWCA mentor who introduced me to a DREAMS project, which is funded with SET. I was introduced to a safe space. I went through trauma counseling and was given psychosocial support. Ladies and gentlemen in this house, there are so many girls out there that are going through what I went through, but do not have support. They do not know access psychosocial support or trauma counseling that I accessed. Therefore, it's important that the government, the civil society strengthen the services for young people to amplify voices and healing. For the government to financially support systems that will monitor children in communities to go to school. I have the desire to go back to school and pursue my dreams, further my education. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to take this opportunity to thank the New Dawn government and the President, His Excellency, Mr. President Hakainde Hichilema, for introducing free education. However, I would like to appeal to the government to revise the GCE examination fees for someone like me who would want to sit and further my education. For that teenage girl in the community that wants to sit and further education. For that girl in Shangombo that would want to sit and further education. I'm an advocate. I aspire to go back to school and become a community development officer or a social worker, sir. With that being said, we can only end child marriages together. I cannot do it alone. The government cannot do it alone. Civil society cannot do it alone. It will take collective efforts to end child marriages. Thank you.
She speaks as though she's got a master's degree, and yet she's looking for more education. I think for that courage, she deserves a round of applause. So these are matters that confront us this morning. These are matters that confront the Parliamentary Caucus on ending child marriage, I'm sure every day. These are matters that have to be digested by their Royal Highnesses. These are matters that are not easy. These are matters that border on difference in opinion because you're looking at traditional norms, culture, where we're coming from. Where does it end? Where does it begin? And I leave that to you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it has been indicated here that one of the biggest supporters to government and other stakeholders in this occasion has been the United Nations family. I speak as a beneficiary of their support, having traveled to the Western Province, went deep in there and had first-hand information about some testimonies of child marriage and how some of those girls really wish, like Grace, to have an education living those marriages. To present the United Nations Resident Coordinator, allow me to welcome from UNICEF, Penelope Campbell, to come and give remarks. A big hand.
His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, represented by Honorable Minister Musukutwan. Ladies and gentlemen, may I also ride on the protocol observed? I think especially following Ampu and Grace, I am incredibly humbled to be here today representing the UN system in Zambia at this gathering between parliamentarians and members of the House of Chiefs, the first such forum since the government enacted the Children's Code in August 2022. We recall that the act resulted from consultations involving traditional leaders, children, and other stakeholders. And now that we have it, our challenge now is to effectively implement this law for the benefit of all children in Zambia. Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen, Section 18(2) of the Children's Code Act places the responsibility of preventing children from harmful practices on the custodians of both the statutory and the customary law. The law prohibits any person from subjecting a child to child marriage or cultural rites All religious and traditional practices are likely to negatively affect the child's life, health, social welfare, dignity, physical or psychological development. Thus, the chiefs and the governments have a key role to play in the implementation of the Children's Code. Child marriage and adolescent pregnancy in Zambia remains very high. This dialogue session, therefore, is a great opportunity to renew the commitment to address the root causes of child marriage and adolescent pregnancy that affect hundreds of boys and girls in this country. Zambia still ranks low in several key child are married before they're 18 years old, while a similar number of adolescent girls fall pregnant before adulthood. Child marriage and adolescent pregnancy correlates with the high prevalence of sexual abuse. Girls living in rural areas are 2 times more likely to get married than their counterparts in urban areas. Ladies and gentlemen, these are not just numbers, and we really saw that and heard that in the voices of Grace and Hyampu. These figures, this narrative are the girls and boys of today and the adults of tomorrow. And I'm sure that you can put faces to the statistics. I clearly see the face of a girl in Katete who in the first 15 years of life has been a wife, a mother, and a divorcee. An adolescent mother who lives with her parents and juggles between childcare and attending school. Many more girls do not get a second chance and ultimately enter adulthood without having a basic education, a primary step towards Zambia achieving the scale of socioeconomic transfer needed. Moreover, the immediate intergenerational effects of teenage pregnancy are alarming, given that the babies of adolescent mothers face higher risks of low birth weight, preterm birth, and severe neonatal conditions. The enactment of the Children's Code is a legislative milestone and a pathway to make the rights of children a reality. The Act articulates the accountability that government, community leaders, parents, and other stakeholders have in keeping children from harm and supporting those that may experience violence. And it promotes a responsibility that children have to their parents and society. In other words, the law holds everyone accountable. Honourable Minister, you may recall that in November 2022, together with the presidents of Zimbabwe, Botswana, and the Vice President of Namibia, the President of Zambia convened here in this very room to listen to children's voices during the November 2022 World Children's Day event. On this day, children from the 4 countries spoke loud and clear, asking for protection from child, early and forced marriage, asking for quality education, asking for their voices to be heard and action to be taken. Today's forum between chiefs and parliamentarians demonstrates our resolve to better the well-being of Zambian children. Ladies and gentlemen, Zambia has been at the forefront in the global and regional campaigns to end child marriage. We applaud the President on his leadership as the African Union champion on ending child marriage and harmful practices. In 2022, on behalf of Zambia, together with the Canadian government, he championed the adoption of the UN General Assembly resolution on ending child, early and forced marriage. Further, the government of Zambia, with the support from UNFPA and UNICEF, Global Child Programme on Ending Child Marriage, continues to strengthen community-based mechanisms to end child marriage with the chiefs from different chiefdoms across the country, you as key allies. The Ministry of Community Development and Social Services continues to strengthen the capacity of the social welfare officers, welfare assistant committee members, CWACs, in reaching and supporting girls at risk of child marriage. Also notable is their successful implementation of the Government Social Protection Cash Transfer Program, includes targeting female-headed households and adolescents. All these efforts continue to make a difference in the lives of children. It is for this reason, Your Honour, we request that in line with the National Volunteer Policy, provision of incentives and appreciation to the selfless community is prioritised. You know, we cannot talk about child marriage without mentioning the importance of education. And I think we've heard that with Grace and Nyampu. While there's increased investment in education, many children are still out of school or drop out before completing basic education. Primary to secondary transition rates remain low, resulting in increased vulnerability to child marriage. Evidence and experiences from around the world show that sustained investment in education will significantly contribute to ending. So we applaud the efforts that the government of Zambia has initiated, increasing funding to schools, bursaries, the recruitment of teachers, reviewing the national curriculum to make it relevant to the learning needs in a fast transforming world. Indeed, one can argue that a crucial vaccine to eliminate child marriage. The United Nations in Zambia will continue to support the government to fast track progress to ending child marriage and achieve sustainable development goals. With only 7 years, 2030, the target is ambitious. However, with resolve and commitment, both statutory and customary leaders, it can be achieved. It is therefore prudent that the government finalizes and implements the New Dawn curriculum to equip our young ones with 21st century knowledge and skill. Additionally, the finalization of the gender policy will contribute to the empowerment of girls and women as gender inequality significantly undermines the resolve to end child marriage. The successful implementation of the Children's Code is anchored on the finalization of statutory instruments that define the procedures required to provide the outlined support and services that's written in law. We therefore urge the relevant government ministries and departments to swiftly put into these procedures for effective operationalization of the law. The Children's Code places responsibility on both constitutional and customary leadership on ending child marriage, recognizing that chiefs and parliamentarians alike are uniquely positioned to champion national commitment to ending child marriage, given their critical influential role and presence in communities. Indeed, chiefs play a crucial role in effective chiefdoms, roles in improving the well-being of children and in supporting education and health programs. We need more of you speaking openly against violence against girls and women. Thus, we look upon you as champions, as role models and influencers, influence behavior change and the transformation of social norms that harm children. Your Honor, let me take advantage of this opportunity to indicate that with the 2023 SDG Summit coming up in September, we count on the President's leadership in galvanizing country efforts, ensuring transformative and accelerated actions on the global goals as we near target year of 2030. Allow me to highlight that the UN Cooperation Framework for Zambia, we remain committed to work with your government in leaving no child behind. The UN family supported the successful finalization of Children's Code, the drafting of the gender policy, and are now working with the Gender Division and other partners on a strategic plan on ending child marriage. In addition, through UNICEF, we are providing technical support in costing social services workforce in Zambia with a view in projecting cost prepared for the implementation of the Children's Code, a costed analysis that come with an increased and funded social service workforce to support the children and their families. With the support of the Irish Embassy, the UN is supporting a joint initiative that takes a holistic approach in engaging with stakeholders, including community leaders, and engaging men as key partners to address harmful practices, attitudes, and behaviors in community interventions. So we can proudly say that we are in this together. I thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Penelope Campbell representing the UN family. Of course, the UNICEF rep. A big hand one more time for attention grounding statement coming from her. Like said, this process written on by all the distinguished in here, the Royal Highnesses, the members of Parliament, and if it were easy, we would not be here. By a snap of a finger, all this would have been solved. But because it is not easy, we have to do the work of convincing one another to see the right thing to do, especially in the context of living in today's world. To help further the conversation, allow me at this point in time to make welcome to the podium a member of Parliament who has very little introduction. Of course, is Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, and nothing less but a vibrant delivery from him. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Honorable Gary Nkombo.
Thank you, Director of Program. His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, represented by the Minister of Finance, Honorable Dr. Situmbeko Msogotwane, Chairperson, House of Royal Highness Chief Chisunka, Dr. Chisunka, all members of the House of Chiefs, the Honorable Deputy Speaker One of the National Assembly Zambia, Madam Tractor Chisangano, members of Parliament, colleagues of mine from the National Assembly of Zambia. In the interest of time, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to ride on the protocols observed by those who spoke before me, but particularly thank the media for being here, making it possible for us to be seen and heard from far and wide. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted because it's a very big honor for me to be part and parcel of this unique occasion where parliamentarians, representatives of people, have come together with Royal Highnesses through the House of Chiefs to champion a very well-meaning program for our children in this country. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the importance of this traditional leadership in promoting well-being of the community in general and children in particular cannot be overemphasized. The director of program, the commencement of this program, asked how concerned are we about the welfare of children? It's a very loaded question, ladies and gentlemen, Your Royal Highnesses. Because when we were growing up of us, we constantly heard our parents saying something which is totally biblical, that you spare the rod and you spoil the child. And along the way, as we were getting older, we got to learn about VSU, the Victim Support Unit, human rights, a convolution of so many things that put discipline away from the family. They also say that charity begins at home. All these problems that we are facing, the challenges about raising children, which I think is extremely complicated with this new phenomenon of human rights, not forcing children to do things, it has worked against us in many ways. Some of us are who we are because our parents were extremely strict in all ways. And I am not ashamed to also tell my story. I had a very strict mother who always kept a rod near her so that if anything went wrong, use it to instill discipline. Today, it has now been compounded, ladies and gentlemen, with the lack of love at home. Children are vulnerable because there's no that affinity from home, from parents. Make sure that the children are raised according to the biblical teachings. We are now paying the price. I want to thank Iliamupu, Chipasha, and Grace for sharing with us what ordinarily would be the untold story. Because of the stigma that these untold stories come with, I want to thank you most profusely, my dear friends, for sharing your stories. It's a demonstration of strength, as a matter of fact, due to the stigma that they carry, that you can come here open and share your story. I can tell you that your stories today will assist many others who have been stigmatized, who have failed to come out to tell their story, some of which may even be more gruesome than what you've shared with us, to come out in the open, to share these untold stories. Traditional leaders, our parents, have always continued to play a very important role in sensitizing and creating awareness to the masses on the various government laws, policies, programs that are designed to uphold and promote the well-being of our citizens. The coming together of yourselves, distinguished Royal Highnesses, and my colleagues, the lawmakers, members of the Legislative Assembly, today to discuss and to also popularize the Child Code is a testimony to the country of the importance of working together in championing the well-being of children. Just 2 days ago, I was very fortunate myself to interact with their Royal Highnesses across the Old Wing, and I found them in a deep discussion about the welfare of children, particularly with the issue sometimes we ignore, and this is the proliferation and unattended issue of substance and alcohol intake in our country. The Royal Highnesses had an intimate discussion about that. Who victims? It's normally the child. The victims who we have now commonly known with a fashionable term called junkies. It is because of sometimes putting a deaf ear and a blind eye on the realities of life. The reality that we are faced with today is that we are sitting on a time bomb regarding the issue of children, be it female or be it male. There is total destruction of our children within the communities, whether be it urban or be it rural. The problem is the same. And this is the reason why I particularly appreciate this interaction between my colleagues, the MPs, and the Royal Highnesses. We have to do something about it. In that interaction, I extended an invitation to the Royal Highnesses that my ministry is the one that houses the national alcohol policy together with the Ministry of Health. It is domiciled in those two ministries. And I invited the Royal Highnesses to give us 2 or 3 members from the House of Chiefs to help us champion and reverse the effect of arbitrary rising intake of substance as well as alcohol among our children. If it went for management, if it were left to me alone, I would follow the Rwandan model. In Rwanda, they do respect human rights, quite all right. But Honorable Minister of Finance, they have deliberately made provisions for safe houses and also schools for the vulnerable and orphaned children. Those who are living off the wall here, they live on the streets. The colleague minister in Rwanda told me here, there are things that are not negotiable or debatable. There are things that are not for the opposition and for the ruling. And this issue of children, when parents fail, is on the shoulders of government. It's not that. Said I can't use that word. Maybe we can harvest them from the streets. Because capture, the human rights will come and say, what are you doing? But we harvest them from the street and take them into boarding school or take them into safe houses. In the case of my two young sisters here, who were victims of, in one case, in both cases, people who are very close to them, parents, uncles, guardians. They are normally the villains of the complication of raising children. I think that we can, because we are the ones who approve the budget, honorable members of parliament. It is square on us to make sure that we give priority to establishment of safe houses, more safe houses in every district, because this issue is there everywhere. And I wish my colleague from the Ministry of Community Development was here. But since we are both here, the Minister of Finance and myself, she is well represented. It is something that we must legacy on as a government to make sure that we create the infrastructure, we provide a platform for those children who are victims of the subject today. We can do it. The Minister of Finance asked me when he was ordered by the Director of Ceremony to ask me how, the question was, how concerned are we with the children? And I said, at one point I may go off my text because I want to speak from my heart. For those who can be listening to understand that we have a big problem. And as I terminate, if we don't attend this problem, we will now be attending 10 years later or even more with the issue of security of the country, because these children who do not have love at home, who have decided to go and live off the wall, have blunt feelings, they have no affinity for the next person, they start mugging people on the streets, the country will become unsafe. And that's what I say, there are things that should not be compromised. There are things that should not be political. That if today we decide we're going to capture, using his own words, all the street children, I think that is a demonstration of government having love for those children who are neglected. But someone will come and say, no, you can't do that. Human rights does not allow you to harvest these children. If we harvested those children away from where they shouldn't be, the fact of the matter is that we'll be developing responsible citizens. Some of those same children could even be potential friends in many years to come. Why can't we capture? The challenge is with us. The conversation should continue. I'm particularly happy to be here today to say things that are coming from the inside of me. Because if you do not have at nuclear family level that challenge, you must be sure that you have that challenge in your extended family. It's a countrywide problem. My own thinking is that the issue of substance abuse for children, alcohol abuse for children, requires a much more intimate consideration and hard cause. Away from these feelings of, no, you're abusing people's rights. And I can assure you that we may leave a legacy, a mark on society that they once lived a group of people who took a bold decision. Let's assume we just announced today as a way of what they call simulation training to become a pilot or a drill. If today we made a pronouncement as government to say we are now going to capture all the street children. What would you say, Honorable Member of Parliament, for Bahati as a member from the opposition? Would you say let's do it, or would you say human rights? We have to do it. Honorable Kapianga, would you say let's do it? Is that problem there in Mpika, Honorable Kapianga? We must do it. Your Royal Highness Gogo Mazmawe, should we do it? My mother, Chief Musoro, should we go ahead and do it? I think we can end this symposium by bringing out a communique of an intention to take certain bold steps in order to correct what may have gone wrong in the past. We cannot go on to just watch the situation as we go by, as if life is just the way. There are people who are charged with the responsibility of putting things right. And this moment, it is ourselves, honorable members. This particular moment. It will be sad for you to be harvested out of parliament without having made a mark. Because the harvest level in parliament is very high, 70%. Every year, 70% to go. Some of us may have been lucky with Honorable Musoko trying to be here long enough. My plea is that let's hold hands and make sure that there are things that are not done, and this is one of them. Let me thank you for your attention. Let me thank you for your time. May you please have fruitful deliberations. I thank you. God bless you.
Well, I told you, didn't I? Ladies and gentlemen, another big round of applause for the Minister of Local Government. And he brings an interesting dimension to the whole conversation. And yes, let's get worried and do something about child marriage. And to be honest, every time we mention this aspect, at least to me, the first picture is the girl child. They get married off to the people with the economy, the economics. So, and it's largely the men. Of course, that picture is changing. That's why we want more and more women to be educated. But the conversation around alcohol abuse, substance abuse is real, and it's one that has to be considered. Honorable Minister, the challenge to add to your conversation that I'll put to you is to count the number of rehabs in Lusaka. They have increased in number. I don't have the figures, but it tells you that there's something that is wrong, that is going on, much as we appreciate the growth in the number of rehabilitation houses. Let's start with Lusaka. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this occasion is about reflection. It's all about having these conversations. Allow me now to invite the Deputy Speaker representing the Right Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly, Right Honorable Ms. Nelly Muti. Please make welcome Honorable Malungo Tsangano. Big hand.
Thank you, Director of Programs. Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwane, Minister of Finance and National Planning, representing His Excellency the President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, Honorable Gary Nkombo, Minister MP, Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Honorable Cabinet Ministers and Provincial Ministers present, Your Royal Highness, Senior Chief Chisunka, the Chairperson of the House of Chiefs, the Royal Highnesses present here, Mr. Joseph Musanje MP, Chairperson of the Parliamentary Caucus on Children, All honorable members of parliament that are present here, may I simply say all protocols observed. Honorable Minister, I am honored to give a few remarks during this important dialogue meeting between the Parliamentary Caucus on Children and the House of Chiefs, aimed at ending child marriage in Zambia. Sir, from the outset, allow me to sincerely thank you for finding time away from your busy schedule to come and attend this very important meeting at a very short notice. This demonstrates the importance that the New Dawn government attaches to the issue of child marriage, not only here in Zambia, but the world at large. In the same vein, let me also thank our Royal Highnesses present for accepting the invitation to come and participate in this dialogue. I'm grateful to the House of Chiefs for finding time to accommodate this dialogue meeting, despite the fact that it is in session. Let me also take this opportunity to congratulate His Royal Highness Chief Chisunga on his election as the chairperson for the House of Chiefs. Honorable Minister, allow me to express my gratitude to the United Nations Children's Fund, that is UNICEF, for the financial and technical support rendered to the National Assembly of Zambia through the Parliamentary Caucus on Children, which has enabled the caucus to organize and host this dialogue meeting today. For a long time now, UNICEF has been on all a weather partner for the National Assembly of Zambia in various areas aimed at advancing children's rights in the country. Sir, the Parliamentary Caucus on Children has been an active caucus comprising of both male and female parliamentarians from all political parties in the House, advancing issues related to children in the country. Caucus has for many years now been working with various stakeholders in the country, promoting the welfare of children. One of the key milestones achieved by the caucus was the effective advocacy and lobbying that resulted in the enactment of the Children's Code Act number 12 of 2022. Honorable Minister, you may wish to note that the Parliamentary Caucus on Children was one of the strongest groupings that effectively participated in the lobbying for the bill to be enacted into law. The caucus worked tirelessly with various organizations, such as the UN systems in Zambia and other non-governmental organizations, in ensuring that the Children's Code Bill was actualized into law. Sir, as already alluded to by the previous speakers, the statistics of child marriage in Zambia remain unacceptably high. Statistics indicate that nearly a third of the girls are married before they reach the universal and constitutionally defined age of adulthood. It is for this reason that the Parliamentary Caucus on Children, in collaboration with UNICEF, has organized this dialogue session with members of the House of Chiefs. The main objective of this dialogue session is to ensure that members of the House of Chiefs understand and support the implementation of the Children's Code Act number 12 of 22, especially on the provision of ending child marriages in the country. The Royal Highnesses have been identified as important partners that can immensely contribute to resolving this problem through their leadership. In most cases, child marriages are anchored on culture, customs, and traditions. Therefore, chiefs, being the custodians of culture, customs, and traditions, are best suited as agents of change in tackling this problem. If well capacitated, the chiefs can initiate the desired change by advocating for the discarding of cultures, customs, and traditional practices that promote and encourage early child marriages in the country. It is for this reason that the National Assembly of Zambia will continue to work closely with traditional authorities across the country in ensuring that children's rights are upheld to the fullest. Sir, I'm aware that ending child marriage is a priority for our government. I therefore would like to assure you of the National Assembly's maximum support in this regard. The National Assembly of Zambia will always endeavor to support all progressive child-related bills that will be brought to the House for enactment. As I conclude, allow me to express my gratitude to the Parliamentary Caucus on Children for this great initiative. I have all the confidence that this dialogue will foster great collaboration between members of parliament and the chiefs in curbing the vice of child marriage in the country. I wish you the best of today, and I thank you so much.
Honorable Malungo Chisangano speaking to us there, and she does deserve a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Another round of applause. Let's be clear about who we are discussing. What are we talking about? Who is a child? Just so that we're clear, again, to the unacquainted. And it's time to stop measuring how old a girl is using the eyes. It is time to use documentation and what the law says. And it is any child or any person that is 18 years or below. That's what the law says. And that's what we're talking about here. So time to using experience of eyes is gone. Just so we're clear. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, much has been said. We will shortly be hearing from the guest of honor, whom have you heard is representing His Excellency the President. But let's recharge our interest in this occasion with some entertainment. And as that happens, maybe we can use that moment to kind of reflect back on what has been said, we think should be done. So we have some entertainment from where are my friends? My friends here. Ah, there. Please come along. It's called Boppi Western Province. That's the African Dance Fest performing Kayowe, all the way from the Western Province. How rich our culture is. If you like that, another round of applause, because I really did. I think that was fantastic. Let us move on, because we have all these issues to discuss, and we've heard passionate expressions there by the various speakers who come, and it is time to hear keynote speech, which is being delivered on behalf of the president. Because of that, I'd like to invite the Minister Local Government and Rural Development to help with the honors of inviting the guests of honor. With your permission. No, you can do it from this side. Yes, please. And he'll be speaking from the other podium.
Thank you very much, guest of honor, Honorable Dr. Msokotwane. Representing the President of the Republic, it is my rare pleasure to request you, sir, to address the delegates.
Thank you very much indeed. As we have heard, His Excellency was supposed to be here to grace this occasion. Unfortunately, it coincided with another important assignment. Therefore, he requested that I come and deliver his statement for him. Let me start by recognizing all the eminent people who are here this morning, starting with Honorable Sangano, First Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly of Zambia, Honorable Gary Nkombo, MP, Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Honorable Cabinet and the provincial ministers present here, worship the Mayor of Lusaka, Ms. Tangala, the chairperson of the House of Chiefs, His Royal Highness Chief Chisunka, all the other Royal Highnesses that are here this morning with us. Good morning to you all. Honorable Joseph Musanje, MP, Chairperson of the Parliamentary Caucus on Children, Honorable Members of Parliament in the Caucus on Children, Ms. Campbell, UNICEF Country Representative, Mr. Roy Ngulove, Acting Clerk of the National Assembly of Zambia, senior government officials present, members of the press, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. But let me also pay tribute to the two young ladies who shared with us their experiences this morning. You are well recognized. Your message has been received, and I promise that message will be delivered where it is intended to be delivered. So the message will be delivered. It is great honor for me to be invited to grace the official opening of the national dialogue between the Parliamentary Caucus on Children and the House of Chiefs on Child, Early and Forced Marriages. I consider this meeting very important. As you are aware, child marriages and teenage pregnancies remain a social and developmental challenge that have a long life impact on children, particularly the girl child. The vice has long-term consequences, such as denying children the opportunity to acquire academic and life skills to liberate themselves and their families from intergenerational cycle of poverty. You may wish to note that ending child marriages is among the top priorities of my government, as it will ensure our young people equitable participation in the development of this country. I therefore would like to pledge my government's total support towards the fight against this worrying vice in our country. Madam Speaker, Royal Highnesses, ladies and gentlemen, it is for this reason that my government is desirous to ensure that all children grow in a good environment that guarantees their development. To demonstrate government's desire to ending child marriage, the government of the Republic of Zambia launched a campaign to ending child marriage in 2013. To this end, a number of national strategies to eradicate the practice have been implemented. Among the many strategies is the formulation of the National Child Policy and the National Plan of Action for Children in Zambia. The National Child Policy has been formulated to provide policy guidance on implementation of child development and child welfare programs. The policy provides measures and strategies to guide the implementation, while the National Action Plan provides an implementation and institutional framework for a collective and meaningful partnership to implement child development programs. The plan has been formulated with a focus on meeting government's aspiration of creating an enabling environment for the well-being and development of children. Madam Speaker, Royal Highnesses, ladies and gentlemen, the vision of my government on child development and child welfare is, and I quote, a society where children survive, thrive, and reach their full potential, end of quote. Therefore, my government will, by all means, strive to create an enabling environment that protects and promotes the rights and obligations of children and foster their participation in the government system. To this end, the commitment of my government to the development and welfare of our children is demonstrated by the speed at which we actualize the legal framework for children, which I, President Hakainde Hichilema, assented to barely a few months after assuming office. This is the Children's Code Act number 12 of 2022. As you know, this act does not only realize Zambia's obligations under international and regional children's rights instruments, but is also a comprehensive legislation in the sense that it spells out almost all stakeholders' duties and responsibilities in realizing children's rights, including the parents or guardians and the children themselves. As the African Union champion on ending child marriages, I have used this privilege to fight the vice beyond Zambia's borders. In 2022, during the United Nations General Assembly, my government, in partnership with the Canadian government, championed the adoption of the United Nations Assembly resolution on ending child and forced marriage. I'm happy to inform you that this resolution received broad support from a total of 125 co-sponsors from around the world, thereby reaffirming the vital importance the international community attaches to fight against this virus. I am therefore delighted that the Parliamentary Caucus on Children has come up with such a great initiative of having dialogue with the House of Chiefs on ending child marriages. Traditional leaders continue to play a key role in averting the practice by raising awareness among their subjects on the consequences of child marriages. I'm therefore very optimistic that the dialogue between these two very important institutions, that is the House of Chiefs and Parliament, will result in meaningful resolutions that will help supplement government's efforts in ending child marriage. Child development, child welfare cuts across all sectors. Therefore, let me call upon all duty bearers, including chiefdoms, United Nations agencies, civil society organizations, non-governmental organizations, faith and community-based organizations, as well as the private sector, to work together in order to ensure that child marriage is brought under control in Zambia. As I conclude, Madam Speaker, Royal Highnesses, ladies and gentlemen, let me thank the Royal Highnesses for finding time to come and participate in this important meeting. May I also thank all honorable members of Parliament present for coming. I am aware that the House is still on recess, but you found it fit to travel from your various constituencies to attend this dialogue meeting. My government stands ready to work with everyone in ensuring that our children are safe. I therefore would like to commend the Parliamentary Caucus on Children for the great work that you are doing. I would like to assure you of my unreserved support in this fight. It is now my singular honor and privilege to declare this meeting officially opened. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. A big hand to the guests of honor. A big hand, a big hand. Honorable Minister, I am compelled to do something that is outside the script. You know, there was an application for a job. Pasha, where are you? Please come. By the powers vested in me, I give you this application form to give to the minister. Just go around and give it to the minister. Yeah. That is, she applied. An application must be delivered to the potential employer. Indeed. A big hand, ladies and gentlemen. The job hasn't been given. There's consideration. There might be not. It is the courage which such person made, which I think is impressive. Thank you, Honorable Minister, for playing the part. Thank you so much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's not time for me to invite for a vote of thanks Vice Secretary, Parliamentary Caucus on Children, to come and deliver a vote of thanks. Let's put our hands together for Honorable Brenda Nyawenda.
Thank you very much. The guest of honor, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, represented by Honorable Msokotwani, the Minister of Finance, Honorable Minister of Local Government, the Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Members of Parliament, the Chairperson for the Caucus of Children, Zambia Parliamentary Caucus for Children, Honorable Musanje. May I simply say, our chiefs, the owners of the land, where we are even standing here. It is a great honor to have you, our fathers in the house. We know on every NRC, it is written which chiefdom to come from. We always say, I come from Namba, I come from Lundazi, but my chief will always be mentioned, Chief Kapichira. It is a great honor today to be in the house together with the fathers. There is one thing about politicians and the chiefs. We serve the same people. When we go to campaign, we campaign to the same people, to the same children who are getting married at an early age. Even the chiefs, there is no chiefdom without the people. In this case, His Excellency depends on the same people that we campaign to and the same people that you are ruling in your various chiefdoms. By sitting the parliamentary caucus and yourselves, it means that there is no loophole that's left out. Because if the chiefs are speaking the same language and the parliamentarians are speaking the same language, then we are going to sort out the challenge which is at stake. The honorable guest of honor, it is indeed gratifying to see our girls who came to testify on how they have survived. Congratulations, our girls. I know that it's not easy to stand here and tell your story. These who have managed to tell their story today, they are safe. But we have children who have died. Those who can't come up today to share their story because of teenage pregnancies. Maybe they tried to force an abortion. Just 2 days ago, I buried Modesta in Lundazi because of the forced abortion. She became pregnant, just 15 years old. Then started laughing at her, took medication, and today she's not here to give testimony of how you can survive out of this vice. Standing here is your member of parliament who is a beneficiary of good laws. If the law of coming back to school, allowing girls to come back to school after they become pregnant was not enacted, I was thrown out of school and I was never to see the walls of parliament today. But because of the good laws which were enacted, I managed to go back to school, and today they are saying she is a honorable member of parliament for Lundazi constituency. Guests of honor, the members of parliament you see today here have a passion for children. No wonder they joined the parliamentary caucus for children. We are here to change and bring good story to that child who was being forced into a teenage pregnancy. Before I go further, I would like to bring out something that's
may be breeding and we haven't talked about it. Teenage parenthood. Some of the young boys who are impregnating their young fellows in our districts, especially in rural areas. If it is in rural areas, you find the boy is 16 years and the girl is 13 and they are calling themselves husband and wife. How are the boys getting away with this? You'll find that there's a relative, she's working, she's a teacher here. They'll say, send that child to Lusaka so that he can continue in school. But they get logical wrong and she remains at home. And if they will ever see that boy again, it's heaven, it would have come down. Some of these boys, when they come here, Honorable Local Government Minister, those are the boys we are finding on the streets. Some of them, they left in pregnancies in the rural areas and they have come here. They have no jobs. They have become junkies and now they are terrorizing all of us here. And I know the pain that we feel just to be grabbed and maybe they take your phone or they take anything. This challenge which we have, Honorable Minister and the guests of honor, it is a challenge that requires all of us to really fight as the message which the president has laid, where he says everyone must be involved. Indeed, everyone must be involved for this vice to come to an end. Honorable Minister and my chiefs who are Zambia is lot have come in, turning away from wars, from foreign countries. What do we see today? At every corner in our townships, there are bars which are mushrooming. They are selling alcohol at any time, and there is no official time for opening of bars. Our children are dying. In the end, they are getting involved in illicit sex. It is up to us as lawmakers, together with our chiefs. I'm proud here that indeed the chairperson for the House of Chiefs, he is in one of the people goes out there to pick a child who has gotten married forcibly. For this, we need to give you a hand of applause. Batata, tuletotera mkwani. Itomupitirishe. Kwa MP limoli moti batu tinya tishaka kuvotere. Bantu wakanye chupo. But for you, when you do it, they know you are the owner of the land. For this today, indeed, in Parliament, we are taught to explain when we speak in a foreign language because Madam Speaker is here. What I meant to say was that we have gratitude that indeed the chairperson for the House of Chiefs is one who goes out to take a child out of an early marriage. For this, we celebrate you. That's what I say, Madam Speaker, and for the sake of those who are watching and not listening from the other side. The people of Lucy are grateful for being given this rare chance to give a vote of thanks and indeed to appreciate the members of Parliament and all chiefs who are here and those who are watching, that indeed will only make Zambia a better place if you and us work together. With these few remarks, I just want to say thank you so much and pass our gratitude to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zambia for making a clarion call that all of us should be involved. I submit. Thank you.
we are a nation that appreciates good delivery, and I think that the last speaker deserves a round of applause as part of appreciation. There seems to be no debate around that. Distinguished gentlemen, this is but the beginning as we come to a close, because this has officially been opened. But I wish to just run you through what follows after this. We've had our vote of thanks. There will be a photo session after we done the national anthem, and unless things change, the guest of honor will have pictures with the high table, and there will be a picture with the high table and survivors, and that's Chipasha and